Merry Christmas to everybody that's celebrating today. Today I have a special video for you guys. It's kind of a part 1 of a bigger part 2 happening this weekend, but I can't tell you what that's about. But today's video is focused on games that I actually would love from Nintendo, but I think that they would never happen. I'm not saying that there's a 100% chance that no possible way in the future any of these games that I'm about to mention are going to happen, because who knows? I mean, we got a Mario Rabbids game. Anything's possible, you know what I mean? But I think there is a very low chance of any of these games happening, but they would make me so happy. Once again, this list is based off of things that I've always kind of wanted but knew it would never happen. So once again, remember that some of these might be extremely wacky, some you might not agree with, some you might, who knows. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I hope you guys are having a swell holiday and you guys are just sitting back and enjoying this video today. Just the other day, we were super close to 100 subscribers, but since it's Christmas, let's see how many people we could actually get to like and subscribe this video. Blow it up. If you enjoyed watching this video today, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Let's see how many we can get, and thank you so much for tuning in. Without further ado, here's a list of 16 game ideas that I would absolutely love but have probably no chance of happening. The first game that I would absolutely love is Splat Royale, and this is something that I've made a video concept on before, and lots of these ideas are, and that's just how crazy and wacky they are. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I would love to see Splatoon actually take on the Battle Royale genre and see how they could actually add to it, because I think with the game as unique as Splatoon, with inking everything and swimming through the ink, I think it could be really cool for Battle Royale. Yes, I think there's some ways to work around some of the caveats, like, you know, the ink color and stuff. Maybe your ink is one color and every other player's ink is the same color for you. That could work. You could pick up new weapons and items and subs and specials on the floor. You can paint yourself up towers and buildings and skyscrapers. It could be seriously so cool. There could be so many things they could do. Maybe putting all the maps together into one giant map that you can run around in, jumping out of a bus or some type of plane. It would be seriously awesome, and I can see this being something that's fun to play ongoing with seasons and updates, and maybe even free to play, and it just continues to update through various different new Splatoon games that come out. I know a lot of people would probably be against this because a lot of people hate battle royales and maybe microtransactions that come with it. As long as they're only like purely cosmetic, giving you like weapon skins and stuff, I don't see this being an issue. I think this would be something really big for the Nintendo community to have something to play and something that's ongoing for the entire generation of a console. I mean, look at how long Fortnite's going. Next up, I would love a Star Fox open world sandbox game. Something where you can like fly to new planets seamlessly. Get out of the vehicle once you land on a planet and explore the planet on the ground, kind of like Star Fox Assault would be super cool. I think this would be way too ambitious and expensive of a project for a series that's relatively small, kind of dormant right now, in a way kind of dead. So I don't think Nintendo would do anything like that, at least anytime soon. But seeing something like No Man's Sky kind of transferred over, or even like Starfield kind of put into a Star Fox universe, would be so cool. Maybe you can join up with buddies and fly your R-Wings to different planets in the solar system and stuff, and complete challenges and missions on those planets. Just literally widening the gameplay for Star Fox, because Star Fox games are extremely short. So this would be much needed and something that I would love to see happen one day. This is the first one on the list that I actually think could very well happen one day, and especially if Pikmin continues to grow in popularity like Pikmin 4 definitely helped. Maybe sometime in the future we would actually get a full open world Pikmin. I know people are going to constantly say we don't always need everything to be open world, but it really does help some games. And I think a game like Pikmin, where you're literally landing on a planet, traversing the landscape and the different biomes in order to find gear and, you know, pieces of your ship or sparklium objects to bring back, this would be perfect. Being able to find checkpoints or points where you can land your ship through the different areas, and you can choose to stay out at night. It gets a lot harder and more difficult, turns into kind of a survival mode, maybe something similar to what they did with Pikmin 4. I would love this so much, where this just feels like a game that was made with open world in mind. Instead of having to go back to the ship and fly away, look at your stats, you know, make a plan for the next day, you literally can just do stuff in an interconnected world. Maybe you can go back to the ship and you can skip time, or you can just chill in the ship, walk around your ship. Oh my gosh, it would be perfect. I think it could happen. I do. I think it's a lot higher of a chance to happen than anything else on this list, but still, it might be a very long time until we get a game like this and to this scale. Next up, we have Super Mario Odyssey 2. Yes, this is a game that I think is pretty much dead in the water. I don't think we're ever going to see an Odyssey 2. I think the time for that has definitely come and passed. And as much as I absolutely would love to see it, It's not happening. And yes, I would love to see it. There's so many capture ideas. I just made a video where there's potentially over 200 more captures that they could add, which is actually just nuts to even think about. Yes, there's so many kingdoms as well in Mario Odyssey that just kind of go undiscovered, and we just kind of, you know, go to some kingdoms for a little bit in a small area, and then the rest of the continent and the rest of the area on the map is just not even touched. It's kind of weird. I would like to also visit other areas, kind of like Isle Delfino, that looked like at once it was planned to be in the game, but just have more kingdoms, more captures. It's something that I would desperately want to actually have happen. I think I'm at the mindset where I'm ready to move on to the next 3D Mario. However, I would not say no to an Odyssey 2, because there's just too much content left on that table. This one's going to be a bit controversial, I already know. I love the 2D platforming fighter style of Smash Brothers, and I think it's going to stay that way forever, and it's never going to change, which is great for a lot of us. However, I actually wouldn't mind one game at least kind of trying to switch it up and see what people think about it. Yes, that's right, I'm talking about a 3D Smash Brothers fighting game with platforms, and you know, you can still run around and it still functions the same way, but this time it's 3D. Yeah, I think that would be wacky and crazy and could, you know, have some insane battles to be played. Now, this is something that would be hard to be multiplayer on one console because of the camera. You'd have to have like split screen or something like that, or everybody playing on their own Switch. But maybe this is just a side mode that they decide to test out in the next Smash Brothers or something like that. I don't think this is ever going to happen. This sounds like something that's completely against what Sakurai would want to do, which is probably fine for a lot of people. But however, I would love to see exactly what this could look like. I mean, some people have even made mods for this in Smash Ultimate to an extent. So I would love to see, you know, being able to actually fight with our characters in full 3D. Maybe something similar to Kirby and the Forgotten Land would be really, really cool. Which, speaking of that, next up, what about a 3D competitive Kirby fighting game? Something along the lines of Kirby Fighters, but in 3D this time around, where all the characters might just be characters from the game, like enemies, for instance, that have these different copy abilities. Kind of like Hero to Helper from Kirby Superstar, or maybe something along the lines of the Dream Friends mode from Kirby Star Allies, where you could actually play as the enemies. You could have their little movesets and stuff and fight each other. It wouldn't be anything as in-depth as Smash Bros. Or something like that, but kind of similar to the fighting arenas and coliseums that we've seen in Kirby and the Forgotten Land. We've seen Kirby with all these different movesets. It'd be awesome to be able to fight our friends and just kind of play a fighting game like that. Or maybe it's not even enemies that you choose, but just different colored Kirbys, and you get to choose your copy ability from a list of copy abilities that maybe even have the upgrades that we have from Forgotten Land. There's so much they could do with this, but I just don't think this is going to happen. It's not incredibly unlikely. Like, I don't think it's impossible, but it's just something that I don't think that HAL Labs is going to spend too much time in. Who knows? They're good with their spin-off games. This is something that maybe they want to work really hard and make it really competitive. I want this thing to be competitive, though. I'm talking like along the lines of Smash Brothers online competitive, when you're actually playing elite battles and stuff. So we'll see where they go with this. Now, this is one that I personally want, and I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I would love to have a Fire Emblem or Xenoblade game in the style of Final Fantasy VII Remake with that game's combat. That game has some real-time combat mixed with turn-based strategy and RPG elements, and I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite combat systems in any game, and I would love to see something like that transferred over to Nintendo properties, and why not one of their big JRPG games with Fire Emblem or Xenoblade. It's one of the reasons why I never really got into any of those games, and I personally have tried out a bit of the combat from each, and they never really clicked for me, so it's something that I think would definitely get me to start leaning more into that direction. And personally, this is a big wish of mine. Unfortunately, I don't think these teams are going to mess with the combat systems from these games because they have their respected fans already. But who knows, maybe a spin-off or some type of new game in the future could do something like this, but I think it's very unlikely. I want a Mario football game, but I think I've completely given up. It's been how many years now since Mario sports games started to come out? This is literally the beginning of Nintendo's days, and we've never gotten American football, not one time, and it actually hurts because I think there's so many ways that this could actually work. We actually had rugby, believe it or not, in a Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games in the past, which I thought was actually pretty decent. So I would love to see a full-fledged football game with tons of different players that you can choose from. It'd be very basic and simplified version of something like Madden or maybe even college football, but I can't tell you how tired I am of getting new installments in the same like 3 to 4 sports. I love golf, don't get me wrong, but I'm tired of Mario Golf games. I'm tired of Mario Tennis games, And after what Mario Strikers Battle League just did, I think I'm tired of Mario Strikers right now. I'm sorry. But with that said, please, I would love to see something new, and I think Mario Football would be awesome, but it's probably not going to happen. And speaking of Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, they're no longer tied into that Olympic contract, meaning that's like the only game that they can have, which means we could finally get a true Mario and Sonic crossover game. I want an adventure game. I want this to be the hardworking devs of 3D Mario with the hardworking devs of 3D Sonic working together, collabing, and giving the best of both worlds to a game like this. Oh my gosh, imagine 3D speed sections with Sonic akin to levels like we just got in Shadow Generations or Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Generations, and maybe 3D platforming levels akin to Mario Odyssey, Mario Sunshine, even Mario 3D World would be really cool. And maybe the characters' worlds collide and clash or something, where Mario can actually platform through famous Sonic levels and Sonic can actually run through famous Mario levels. I think that would be an amazing game, kind of like a Sonic Generations, but this time with a combination of Mario levels. I think would be one of the coolest things ever, but I do not see a timeline where this is actually going to happen. Who knows? Anything could happen, but I don't see it happening. Next up, I would love a Pokemon game where you could literally play as and fight as your Pokemon, but it would still be the basic Pokemon mechanics. Maybe even something kind of paired with Pokemon Legends, like we had with Arceus, where you could run around this open world and catch Pokemon, but the battling, you could throw out your own Pokeball with your own Pokemon, but you control that Pokemon. I know there was something like that within the recent Pokemon with Scarlet and Violet, some type of device in the DLC that actually lets you run around as the Pokemon. Sorry, I'm not deep in Pokemon, I don't really know what that was called, but it's really cool. I want that. This could also have a flair kind of like Pokken, but obviously not as deep, in the, you know, Pokemon that you can control will maybe only have like a couple of moves or something like that, something really basic, so it wouldn't be like a full-fledged move set with specials and, you know, all that stuff that you have in Pokken, but something a lot smaller scale. I would love something like this. I would love to actually be able to, you know, have a live action combat system. I think that'd be great. Unfortunately, I see that being a lot of work. However, it could be something that maybe the Pokemon team are thinking about, considering the fact that there is that DLC in Scarlet and Violet that kind of has that. So who knows, maybe they're testing the waters with it and maybe having a game in the future that will have that mechanic. This is surely never going to happen again, but I would love to have a new Mario DDR. If you don't know what I'm talking about, back on the GameCube, there was a Dance Dance Revolution Mario mix game, which actually had a gamepad and everything where you literally just played Dance Dance Revolution, but to classic Mario songs, kind of remixed, which was really cool. And you had all these different worlds and characters you could go up against, like Wario and Waluigi. I would love a more updated one with the newer characters from the series and maybe new stages and music and remixes of newer songs as well. Would be awesome. There's a lot of songs that just were completely missing, which they definitely should have in there. So I would love to see a true spiritual successor to this. Is Nintendo really going to do something like this? Never in history. I mean, they would have to sell the gamepads again. I don't even think it sold that well. Yeah, probably not. But man, I would love this. They could just use the Joy-Con kind of like Just Dance, and I'd be fine. I don't actually need a dance mat, but man, whew, I would love that. I want a Mario game where the entire game we play as Bowser. It may not seem as unlikely nowadays when we have games like that feature Princess Peach and Yoshi, all the other spin-off characters. Captain Toad even has his own games. So why would it be so far-fetched to see Bowser? Well, we haven't seen anything like this yet. The closest we've gotten was Mario Odyssey being able to capture Bowser at the end of the game, and then obviously Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. But I don't want it to be split with gameplay with Bowser and then Mario and Luigi or something like that. No, just all 100% Bowser gameplay in like a 3D adventure game. It doesn't have to be open world or anything. Maybe sandbox could be cool, but I wouldn't even mind a linear 3D Mario experience, kind of like Mario 3D Land and 3D World, but with Bowser, with a new moveset where he can roll around with his shell, where he can punch and breathe fire, jump really high, maybe even climb things. They could just really make everything about Bowser here, and maybe even have levels where he gets really gigantic and can break things in a level, and just he's all huge thanks to Kamek. This could be so awesome, but I don't know. I just, for some reason, don't see Nintendo doing this, because you would think with the massive success of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, they would try to replicate more Bowser gameplay, but it never happened. Next up, I really would love to see a return to Metroid Other M. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. I think the game had a lot of potential, and I actually really did like it. It was unfortunately held back by long, chatty dialogue, and also the fact that you control Samus with the D-pad of a Wiimote held sideways. So the control scheme was wasn't great. But imagine a game, kind of third-person point of view, fast-paced, high-intensity combat. I would absolutely love this. I feel like it's not going to happen because Metroid Other M put a stain on the Metroid franchise, and a lot of people didn't like the story. I did, and a lot of people didn't like the controls. I don't think anybody did. So yeah, you had to control it with the Wiimote held sideways with the D-pad. So obviously with a new control scheme, I feel like this could be really cool. There's a lot of really high-intensity boss battles and even enemy fights with cool dramatic cutscenes and stuff of Samus fighting them. I would love to see something like this on modern consoles with modern controls, obviously having a control stick this time around, and I feel like they could do a lot with it, but unfortunately, I think Other M's reception was so bad, Nintendo's not going to realize why it was bad. Instead, they're just going to avoid doing anything like this again. Metroid Prime just doesn't scratch that specific itch for me that Other M gave me, so unfortunately, I just don't see it happening, but I would love to see something like this happen again. I want another Wii Sports Resort style of game, not the Switch Sports stuff. I want an island, maybe even a new one where we get to explore around and even walk around or ride our bikes around or drive around an island, and we can just interact with other players, go to different arenas and buildings and play sports with them and stuff. Oh, that would be so awesome. Literally imagine Wii Sports Resort with Woohoo Island, but you're able to just walk to all the different games, you know, communicate with people, kind of like a Miiverse style thing, but maybe even voice chat if you get near them, meet up with friends on the island, you can fly planes around the island, ride jet skis around the outside of the island and stuff. There could be so much stuff, just kind of like a live community service sports game would be awesome. Is it going to happen? Absolutely not. I don't see it happening. I think we're going to have multiple sport games in the future, but this one sounds a little too ambitious for Nintendo. You know how they are. They like to have this like little, oh, here's a game with like 4 or 5 sports and you got to wait for more with DLC, and also they're very basic sports and you really can't do anything else outside of them. So yeah, I hope they actually go a little bit more ambitious like they did with Wii Sports Resort. We're just going to have to wait and see, but I don't think it's going to happen. I want a new Rhythm Heaven. No, not just any Rhythm Heaven, because I do feel like eventually, maybe sometime in the future that'll happen. No, I'm talking about an actual Rhythm Heaven game where we can also have a studio to create rhythm games. There's some type of like emulation or mod out there of Rhythm Heaven Fever that allows you to create, you know, your own Rhythm Heaven mini game based off the mini games in the game and add them to like the beat of your own music that you add, which is really cool. Will Nintendo actually allow something like this? Absolutely not, because can you imagine the songs that people would add? Maybe there's a library of songs that you can choose from like past Nintendo games. That would be pretty cool, that you can actually make your own Rhythm Heaven mega mix from, just taking tons of the mini games throughout that game and just like kind of placing them in a timeline with the music. That could be cool. So like a Rhythm Heaven editor where you can play and even make levels for people to play, I think could be awesome. Is it going to happen? I don't think it's as unlikely as I was previously thinking. I think it does have a better chance than a lot of these on this list, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. We at least need a new Rhythm Heaven on a home console, Nintendo. How did we not get a single one on Switch? That's just a shame. And last but not least, the game that I probably want the most is Legs, a true sequel to ARMS. No, I'm kidding. The game was okay. I don't actually need a sequel. But really, Nintendo Land 2. Yes, if you play Nintendo Land on the Wii U, you'll understand, because it is such a spectacular game and literally already is in the book of nostalgia for me, because every time I think about it, I get like chills on my body because I remember the good times of playing this game. It's what kind of led me into learning about the other franchises for Nintendo and really got me exploring things outside of just like Mario and Kirby when I was little. So to have Nintendo Land 2 would be amazing. I literally just made a concept video for this, so check out the card above if you want to watch that video. But I would like to see an updated version of this game with tons of new mini games based on current games that are kind of popping off for Nintendo right now. And those are games like maybe even Fire Emblem getting a game this time around, or Xenoblade, but literally just making, you know, new versions of minigames we've had before. A new Metroid, a new Mario style game, a new Donkey Kong, stuff like that could be really, really cool, and I would love to see what they could do. Like I said, I already made a full-fledged like 30-minute video detailing every single minigame that they could add. It's a pretty ambitious video, so please feel free to check it out. But no, I don't think this is happening. Why? I really don't know. I mean, I think it would make for a great launch title for Nintendo Switch 2, but I just don't see it happening. I think Nintendo just kind of left that in the past, and it's just something that they wanted to try out for Wii U as kind of just a way to enter the console and check out all the peripherals of the console, so I don't think we're going to get something like that again. I could be surprised. Maybe it's like a Nintendo World or something, so we're just going to have to wait and see, but unfortunately, I just don't see it happening. But yes, I am extremely excited to see if any of these games could actually happen in the future. Unfortunately, My mind's telling me no, which makes me really sad because I think a lot of these could be some really cool ideas. But let me know in the comments down below, do you agree with any of these ideas, or do you think they're all so wacky and stupid and you're glad they're not happening? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and I hope you guys are having and continue to have an amazing Christmas day for those of you that are celebrating. Thank you guys, and like always, I'll see you on the next one. See you guys.